Hello again and welcome to another dungeon walkthrough. This is SD from the Violent Night gaming community, and today we're going to be looking at Dire Maul. Now we're going to be doing all three sections of this dungeon. That will be East, West and North. We'll start off in East, we'll make our way through West, and then we'll finish it off in North. Our party setup as ever is myself tanking, Zorf healing, and we pugged 3 DPS. Obviously the DPS will change as there's 3 different groups here. Okay, starting off in Dire Maul East. The first boss that we come to is Leftendris and Pimglib. Now this boss pair have 9 abilities between them. We'll start off with Pimglib. The first ability he has is Blast Wave. Now this is fire damage to all within 10 yards. It also reduces your movement speed by 50%. His second ability is Fireball, which is single target fire damage. His third ability is Flame Buffet. Now this inflicts fire damage and increases the amount of fire damage you'll take. This stacks up to 5 times. Leftendris' first ability is Void Bolt. Now this is single target shadow damage. Her second ability is Shadow Bolt Volley. Now this is shadow damage to all within 30 yards. The third ability is Curse of Thorns. Now if you have this curse on you, it gives a 50% chance that if you inflict melee damage upon the boss, you'll take shadow damage yourself. Her fourth ability is Curse of Tongues. Now this reduces your casting speed by 50%. Her fifth ability is Immolate, which is fire damage plus a DOT every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. And her last ability is Enlarge. Now this enlarges Pimglib. It buffs his physical damage and his cast speed. Next up is Zevrim Thornhoof. Now this is a boss with 2 abilities. The first of which being Intense Pain. Now this is a shadow damage area of effect for 20 yards. It's also a DOT and it hits every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. His second ability is Sacrifice. This teleports a random player to the altar that's in his area, and it will drain the target's life every second for a total of 6 seconds. The third boss is Hydrospawn. This boss has 4 abilities, the first of which being Submersion. This reduces the stamina of all within 15 yards by 10 for 1 minute. Now this stacks up to a total of 20 times. His second ability is Riptide. Now this is frost damage, a knockback and a disarm to all players within 10 yards. His third ability is Summon Massive Geyser. This inflicts frost damage and knocks back all within 10 yards. And his fourth ability is he summons Hydrolings at 50% health. Now these Hydrolings can also knock back as well. The final boss in this section is Olzin the Windshaper. Now this boss has 10 abilities, but they're spread over 3 different forms. In his regular form, he has 3 abilities, the first of which being Enervate. Now this transfers mana from the target to the boss. The second ability being Wither. Now this is nature damage plus a DOT every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. This also reduces strength. His third ability is Thorns. Now this inflicts nature damage to all who melee attack the boss. His second form is Tree Form. Now this increases his armor by 3000. It also increases his melee damage by 25% for 30 seconds. Now in this form he has 2 abilities, the first of which being Disarm. Now this disarms a player for 6 seconds. The second ability being Knock Away. Now this is a knockback. It also inflicts physical damage to a target. It also reduces that target's threat to 0. Handy if you're a DPS, but not so handy if you're a tank. His third form is Dire Wolf form. Now this increases his attack speed by 75% and melee damage by 50% for 30 seconds. His first ability in this form is Vicious Bite. Now this is single target physical damage. He also has Mangle, which decreases movement speed by 50% and inflicts physical damage every 2 seconds for a total of 10. This boss will also spawn adds at 50%. Okay, moving on to Dire Maul West. Now the first boss we encountered here was Tendris Warpwood. To start this fight, this boss will summon some adds straight away. He also has 3 abilities, the first of which being Trample. Now this is physical damage to all within 10 yards. The second ability being Grasping Vines, which is physical damage to all within 10 yards. It also knocks down and immobilizes for 10 seconds. The third of which being Entangle, which teleports a player to the boss. It will then route them to that spot and then cause nature damage DO2 every 3 seconds for a total of 15. The next boss we encountered in this instance was Ileana Ravenoak and her pet Farah. Now her pet has 2 abilities of its own, the first of which being Charge. Now this is physical damage and a stun. It also has Maul, which is physical damage. Ileana herself has 4 abilities, the first of which being Multi-Shot. Now this is physical damage to the target plus any adjacent targets to that target. I'm sorry for saying targets, I mean. The second ability being Volley. Now this is arcane damage within a 16-yard targeted area every second for 6 seconds. Her third ability being Immolation Trap. Now this is a fire DOT every 3 seconds for a total of 15. Her last ability is Concussive Shot. Now this has either a 50% chance to reduce your movement speed by 50% or stun you for 3 seconds. Next up is Magister Calendris. Now this boss has 5 abilities, the first of which being Shadow Word Pain. Now this is a shadow DOT every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. The second ability being Mind Flay. Now this is shadow damage every second for 3 seconds. It also reduces your movement speed by 50%. His third ability is Mind Blast. Now this is single target shadow damage. His fourth ability is Dominate Mind, which takes control of a party member for a total of 10 seconds. At 50% health he enters Shadow Form. Now this decreases the melee damage he takes and also increases the damage dealt with Shadow Word Pain by 40%. After Magister Calendris you encounter Imulfar. Now straight away this boss spawns Eyes of Imulfar. Now these eyes cast Gaze of Imulfar. Now this decreases your movement speed by 40%, your attack speed by 100% and casting speed by 50%. He also has 4 other abilities. First of which being Portal of Imulfar. Now this teleports a random target and reduces their threat to 0. Second ability being Infected Bite. Now this is a nature damage DOT and it hits every 3 seconds for a total of 15 and increases the physical damage you take. His third ability is Frenzy. Now this increases the boss's attack speed by 60% for 3 minutes. And his fourth ability is Trample. Now this is physical damage to all within 10 yards. The last boss in West is Prince Tortheldrin. This boss has 4 abilities. The first of which being Thrash. Now this attacks 3 times instead of 1. His second ability is Arcane Blast. Now this inflicts arcane damage and knocks back the target. His third ability is Whirlwind. Now this is physical damage to all within 8 yards. And his fourth ability is Counterspell. Now this interrupts a random player's spellcast and prevents further spellcasts for 15 seconds. And now we move on to Dire Maul North. Now I'm going to lump 3 bosses in together here. These are Guard Moldar, Guard Fengus and Guard Slipkick. I'm lumping all these all together because they have exactly the same number of abilities, they're exactly the same skill sets, and they take roughly the same time to get down. Now these bosses all have, the first of which being Shield Bash. Now this inflicts physical damage and interrupts any spell being cast for 3 seconds. Second ability being Shield Charge. Now this charges a random target, knocks them back and inflicts physical damage. Third ability is Strike. Now this is physical damage to a single target. And at 50% health, each of them will call Intruder Alert. Now this calls in mobs from the surrounding areas, so it's a good idea to make sure there aren't any mobs for them to call. Next up is Stumper Krieg. Now this is a boss with 4 abilities. The first of which being Booze Spit. Now this is a frontal cone attack, but it doesn't inflict damage. It decreases your hit chance and can cause inebriation, which makes your screen go all wobbly. His second ability is War Stomp. Now this knocks back all within 5 yards. His third ability is Whirlwind. Now this is physical damage to all within 8 yards. And his final ability is called You Made Me Spill My Drink. Now this casts Frenzy at 50% health. Next up is Captain Crumb Crush. Now this boss has 4 abilities. The first of which being Frightening Shout. Now this fears all for 6 seconds. His second ability is Mortal Cleave. Now this inflicts physical damage to a single target plus the adjacent target. This also reduces healing to both targets afflicted by 50%. His third ability is Intruder Alert. Now this summons 2 adds 50%. And his final ability is Bring It On. Now this activates Retaliation at 25%. The last boss in North is King Gordok and Cho Rush. Now Cho Rush will pick his skill set at random when the fight starts. He'll either spec himself as a priest, his skill set is heal heavy, a mage, which his skill set is DPS heavy, or a shaman, which is 50-50 heals DPS. Now King Gordok has 4 abilities himself. The first of which being Berserker Charge. Now this charges a random target, causes physical damage and knocks back. His second ability is Sunder Armor. Now this increases the physical damage taken on the target and it stacks 5 times. The third ability is Mortal Strike. Now this hits one target plus an adjacent target for physical damage. It also reduces the healing done to both targets by 50%. And his final ability is War Stomp. Now this causes physical damage to all within 5 yards and stuns them as well. Okay, and that's Dire Maul East, West and North done. I appreciate this was a bit longer than usual, but you don't actually get the achievement until you kill King Gordok, and we wanted to film all 3. Thank you very much for watching. This has been SD from the Violent Night gaming community. Please check us out at www.violentnight.com. Thank you again for watching, and I'll hopefully see you again next time. Goodbye.